Today's coaster review is Goliath at Six Flags New England. Now, to be fair and to be clear, actually, now you can just ramp this in the comic section, but to be perfectly clear, that I feel like this is one of the best Vacomas that I have ever ridden. Still a little rough, still a little jerky, but I feel like this is one of the best Vacomas I have ridden. I dislike Flashback and Mind Eraser more than this one. Like, forget about it. Flashback and Mind Eraser, they both suck at that park. But Goliath is a little smoother of a ride. I feel like out of all the three Vacomas that I've ridden at the park, I feel like Goliath is the smoother one. So we're gonna go through my reviews and stuff like that. I try not to be like a negative review. Like, this is a little good. It's a little bit of a good coaster. It's much better than Flashback in Mind Eraser. But inversions just kill the experience. I hate the inversions on this coaster, but the drops are so much fun. I really love the drops on this coaster. Um, so we're gonna go through my personal thoughts on this coaster. But it's probably my number two favorite roller coaster, Vekoma coaster that I've ridden. This is probably my second favorite Vekoma coaster that I've ridden besides Zoomering at Lake Compounds, which is probably my favorite one. Zoomering at Lake Compounds is really smooth too. It's a really fun, smooth boomerang. But today we're gonna review Goliath. So I try not to be like a negative review and stuff like that. So let's get through stats. We're gonna go through queue line and stuff like that, station, and all about trains and ride experience. So first up, it's located at Six Flags New England in Agawam, Mass. This was the former. It was sitting in the former site of the old Shoot the Route ride, Shipwreck Falls. If you don't know what like a Shipwreck Falls style ride, it was like Boston Tea Party, Canopy. Dorney Park also has one. So yeah, but I kind of like Shipwreck Falls, to be honest, better than this one. Like, this one's rough. It's not great. It's a little smoother. But this is probably my either third or second favorite Vekoma that I've read. Because Stinger is also fun too. It reminds me, if you like compare maybe at Stinger at Dorney Park, like I feel like that one may be a little bit higher than Goliath, but Zoomerang is my favorite Vekoma that I have read. Zoomerang at Lake Compounds is the smoothest boomerang I have ever read. Like, please, Flashback at Six Flags New England is really rough, while Zoomerang at Lake Compounds is so smooth, still a little rough, but it's way smoother than Flashback. But yeah, Goliath. Um, it's a Vekoma manufacturer, Vekoma. I've read so much Vekomas, and Vekomas, Flashback, Mind Eraser, they don't even do anything good. My Zoomerang is much better of a Vekoma. I heard Signwinder at Hershey Park is also a good Vekoma boomerang. I heard that. I haven't gotten a chance to went on that coaster. Hoping I'll go back to Hershey Park next year to go on Sky Rush. So the height 194 feet, speed 65 miles per hour. As you can tell by the stats, it's really impressive. So you can tell height 194 feet, speed 65 miles per hour. Yeah, the stats are pretty impressive. But what makes this ride really bad at this park is its roughness. It's really rough. Um, the drops are smoother. It's pretty smooth. Um, if I go with smoothness here, with the drops, I would probably give it a 7. The drops are fun, but the inversions, the barrel roll and stuff like that, I would give it definitely like a 3. But I'm just not a big fan of this coaster. It's not my favorite coaster at the park. But yeah, inversions, you go upside down 3 times. Actually, no, actually you go upside down 6 times because you're going backwards too. So here's my mouse. It goes up there, go through some cobra rolls, go through a loop, and then you do the same thing over and over again. So yeah, and then it was opened back in 2012. The former ride was like Shipwreck Falls, a water ride. So yeah, so let's go through queue line and stuff. So Now, when it was back in Riverside, Shipwreck Falls was themed to like this New England seafood thing. Like they had the New England Skyway, which was like a balloon, like which was like you were in a ball that sent riders. It was from the entrance of Thunderball all the way now to like Wicked Cycle. It was that string ball, and that was like bunch of theming when it was back called Riverside. It was like a New England sea themed, but and Shipwreck Falls was part of that theme too. So now Goliath, I believe, is like themed to this wild. Goliath doesn't really much have any theming at all, to be honest. Like it has a green color scheme. I guess the theming is like giant. It is a really giant coaster. Look at this. One of the larger attractions at the park. Like maybe the largest, maybe the biggest attraction at the park. But Goliath is pretty large, as you can tell. Like you probably the GP think this is probably the best coaster at Six Flags Maryland, but it's not. I personally like Wicked Cyclone. Maybe personally, you guys like Superman the Ride. I personally like Wicked Cyclone, but GP probably really likes Goliath better than Superman the Ride and Wicked Cyclone. But yeah, but they had this like queue line stuff. It was a bunch of switchbacks too, and then in the station, there's not really much theming at all in the queue line or in the station. Um, but they have these like I don't know how to say it, but they have like these door medals that are like they're blue. They have like these door medals, and it just like slides open. They kind of remind me of Great Bear at Hershey Park, to be honest. Like when you think of Great Bear at Hershey Park, it's way smoother of a ride. It's my second favorite B&M coaster that I've ridden. It's definitely top 10. This one's not top 10 for sure. This one's not top 10 for sure. Like Great Bears, but the seating and stuff like that kind of reminds me of Great Bear at Hershey. But actually the handlebars are actually like near your belly. They're not like up here near where like your breast is, but it's not like up here. The handlebars like down near your belly. So like that's like where you can hold them. So let's go through smoothness. Now this coaster is half smooth. The drops are smooth. This side is smooth, but this side is not smooth. Like they should change that up. Uh, I would say maybe bring back old trains and stuff like that. It'll bring guests to the park. Please bring back the old train Six Flags. That'll bring lots of guests into the park. Ride experience. First up, you go up a 194-foot lift hill. You drop. The drop is both of these drops are really intense. Like to be honest, I feel like this is the most intense coaster at the park. With all its roughness and stuff like that, I feel like this is the most intense coaster at the park. You go through cobra rolls, loops, and then you do the same thing backwards. So, what am I going to give this coaster an overall score? I'm going to give it a 5. Um, I would have done it maybe a little lower than a 5, but the drops are fun. The Cobra rolls just really ruin the experience. But yeah, so that's why I'm going to be giving a 5. So I'd like to hear from you. What are your thoughts on Goliath? Have you been on this coaster? Have you not been on this coaster? If you have been on this coaster, please tell me what are your thoughts on it in the comic section below. And stay tuned for my reviews and coaster fights and all that coming up from Coaster Box. And I'll see you guys later.